gentlelady. I'll recognize the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Gutherie, for your questions for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I want to start with the sheriff. In Kentucky, we have 120 counties, our founding fathers decided they wanted a county seat within a day's horseback ride. You can go back and forth. So we have a lot of counties. So I remember driving from Nevada to Las Vegas, and I looked at my wife. I said, about 3 hours into our drive, we've been in one county the whole time we were in San Bernardino County. So it's good you're here because you have a perspective of an urban area and in broad spaces and wide open spaces. And the hottest place on it, right? Needles, California, the hottest city in America or something like that. But if I remember. So here we are talking about FirstNet, and that's what's important. And it was created in 2012, expires in 2027. So we have to, so Sheriff Dicus, with your experience, and I know you've talked about it in your opening statement, some questions, but just as a user of FirstNet, just what do you think we need to do different in this reauthorization that makes your job easier or better? We can serve your citizens better?
Well, certainly fund it and then continue to expand it. There are still a lot of rural areas across this country that are not covered, and having a priority type broadband system only for public safety with preemptive technologies too, where if the traffic gets too much, say there is a disaster somewhere else, they can move to make sure that that specific agency or jurisdiction has priority within the system. And I think with AI, there are still so many things to come technically. Having a robust broadband network to be able to ingest whatever types of new communications we're going to receive is critically important to moving public safety forward and managing major critical incidents.
So due to the size of your county, I don't know how many counties California has, but man, your county is large, as we described. You use multiple service providers across your county, right? And I know that's probably necessary. And does it affect your ability to do your job by having different service providers in your own jurisdiction?
So in the past, in my day on patrol, absolutely it did. You actually had to be aware of where your radios, how far they reached, phones and things of that nature. So you had to manually change the radios. Now with modern technology, the computer actually switches between which service provider has the most signal strength, and same thing with our radio systems. But even the manual radio systems have advanced in technology to know whether or not a deputy sheriff or a law enforcement officer may be lying on the ground versus standing straight up. So the data you're getting in terms of intelligence on the call is really second to none, and making sure we posture ourselves for that in the remote places like Needles is critically important.
Yeah, the world's largest thermometer, right? So your ability to do your job, the technology has compensated for the fact you have multiple providers in your jurisdiction. So the technology.
It certainly has helped, yes.
Okay, thanks. And also, unfortunately, we've seen cyber attacks disrupt 911 systems and dispatch centers. So, Sheriff and Mr. Newton, question to you, from your perspective, what more can the federal government do to help local law enforcement and public safety agencies strengthen their cybersecurity?
Well, as I mentioned in my opening, we've experienced a cyber attack, and as a sheriff, all of a sudden you have these conflicting issues. And number one is talking about maybe some governance or policies that relates to cybersecurity insurance for counties like mine. And the reason being is they bring in expertise to be able to manage those and get your systems back up. But talking about our computer automated dispatch system, it took us down. Most sheriffs, for all of you, a lot of our local agencies rely on our backbone. So we talk about security switches, in our case, California Law Enforcement Telecommunications System. Even though we still had voice technology to communicate to the cops on the radio, think about being able to get warrants processed. You could be out with a dangerous felon and not get it. So absolutely 100% critical to keep this moving forward and look at things outside of not just the technology, but also support and how to get it quickly.
Okay, Mr. Newton, how can federal government help in cybersecurity situations?
I think expanding the work that we already do, the collaborations with the FBI and CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, the common theme of reliable funding. What we see, we had a very similar experience as the sheriff in our community, in which it's a continuity event for us. That our ability to do mission essential functions is interfered with, and so our ability to bring in resources and how do we stay in the business of providing government services during these events, and then I think continuation of vulnerability assessments of looking at, it's a big patchwork quilt across this country. And especially in the world of cybersecurity, we have got to invest the time and effort into where do we stand, where do we need to be, how do we get better.
Thank you. I'll yield back.